I hope you've listened tonight and heard my niece, Beijing Rogers. She's full of fire. This lady is on fire. She has a love for her country, a love for the world, love for the marginalized. She's been around the world, and she has many offers to do traditional things, I'm sure in America, here, another place, but she really just wants to help young people. And you know, fellow Bahamians, it's not easy to find those spaces for her. But one thing about Beijing, she doesn't stop. I sit with her some nights and listen to her, and after I get tired, I say, well, let's meet another night. But she just keeps on going, and God bless you, Beijing. But as we come to the end of the show, what would you like to say to some people who are listening tonight? Because some people may be discouraged, some young people. They don't feel this love in their home. There's no father present. Maybe mom and dad are fighting, and they just feel, they don't have the right look for social media. They don't have the right kind of connections. What would you like to say to them from your heart?
Well, I hope you listen to everything prior, but when I'm asked this question, I always say the first thing that comes to mind. And the first thing that came to mind is, you are not alone. You are not alone in this life experience. I wish I can come find you and just bring you along this journey with me to help you in any way. But if you do want to reach out, I guess, you can find me on Instagram. My name is Beijing, like China, Beijing .RODGERS. Send me a message, and I will definitely get to you. But I just want you to know that you are not alone. There are persons in this world who cares for you, who loves you, and he wants to see you win. Don't give up.
And suppose there's a young person who says, Beijing is okay with you. You're a pretty girl. You go around the world. You got enthusiasm. You can talk. People listen to you. But I am not like you. So what would you say to that kind of person? They can't.
Thank goodness you're not like me. I'm annoying. Oh gosh, I probably, if I met another me, I would be like, bye. It's not about that. It's all about, finding worth, within yourself, and that I personally believe that only comes from, having a intimate, true relationship with Christ, because he can change your life. He can change your life, the way you see yourself, the way you view your future, your everyday decisions, your everything. I mean, he can change all of that, but it takes a choice. It takes a decision made only by you. No matter what your parents or grandparents may have fed you. It's a decision only made by you that you can make in your heart if you want to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior and just be your best friend. If Christ is your best friend, you'll start to see the difference. I promise you, you'll start to see the difference.
Beijing, something's happening in me as I talk with you. When I was growing up, I had to work hard on the Saturdays in my father's shop, but on a Friday afternoon, he would let me, after school. It was a place in Canaan Lane and Hawkins Hill. I was only about 11, but I'll have little children's meetings. The kids were 3 and 4. We'll sing little songs. We'll do little flannel graph Bible lessons. The other day it was 2 murders in Camp Road, and I went to Camp Road. I usually visit the site of murders, especially if they're connected to my family.
Yeah.
And I went to Camp Road with my team, and the place where I met the lady's children, the mother who was killed, the older brother. And then right next door was a lady who came to me and said, Dr. Allen, I know you, I said, you know me? said, you know, I used to come to your children's meeting on Hawkins Hill when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
And it dawned upon me, Beijing, that
That's incredible.
the little children's meeting I had when I was 10 and 11, Hawkins Hill, I'm now doing the family at Camp Road and prison and everything else like that.
It makes so
But
much
it's the same thing.
Yes.
And so when she said, I was with you at 3 years old in Hawkins Hill, and I'm with you now at the family in Camp Road, I just said the dots connected. And I realized, okay, Lord, let me finish my life doing this. I started doing this before medicine, before psychiatry,
Yep.
and I'm doing it afterwards. So I just want to
Powerful.
encourage you, because your genes come from our family, W.W. Allen, many others, NGM Major, Long Island, and don't get discouraged.
Thank you.
Don't get discouraged. It looks like there's a lot to do. I love you going to India. India is a continent to be watched. I think there's a lot of hope in India.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they love you down there. You have a little Indian look yourselves, and I hope more would come here. But I think India has a lot of promise in the world. And so keep that Indian connection going, because my feeling is that India is going to rise very fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to rise very fast. They have the technology, they have the mathematical brain and know-how. They're hard workers, they're committed. And in my time of traveling around the world, they've been some of my best committed friends, and I trust them and believe in them. So, and they're good for the Bahamas.
I love my Indian friends.
Yes, so I just want to encourage you. That's why I don't say much to you, but I like sitting at night listening to you. And but I just thank you for your enthusiasm, your charisma. But you know, that ain't just come to you. Been your family a long time. Yeah, we heard of Perry Chrisley.
Yeah.
The same thing. Perry could catch a fire too.
Yeah.
You know, and Ed Allen, Rex Major, it's all the family. And so you're just a piece of the old family cloth, and God bless you. And don't you give up. You don't have to follow the trend. You had great jobs. You can go to anywhere you want in America, but you do what you're called to do.
Yeah.
That's what life's all about. You win some, you lose a lot. But guess what? When you do the right thing is what? The right thing.
The right thing.
Magna est veritas, et semper et praevalebit. Great is the truth, and it will always prevail. Beijing, don't give up.
Thank you, Uncle David. And thank you for having me here. That was so much fun.
Thank you.
I loved it.
And good night. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We have a special program for you tonight. It's entitled, What Do Young People Want? And to answer that question is my relative, my niece, Beijing Rogers, who is quite a character. Beijing, what do young people want?
Well, first of all, can I say thank you so much, Uncle David, for having me on your show, People Helping People. Ah, what a blessing. I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you. So what do young people want? I think young people want, according to my conversations with them and, you know, my youth development empowerment work and, you know, the marginalized communities, and also just my youth mentorship work, I think they want to be able to live a good life. They want to be able to live a good life, have a fair chance, and really want to make sure that their voice is heard in the matters that concern them most.
Now, you've been around the world. You've been to India this year, and I heard you hear the Indians jumping. I hear you've been to Chile, you've been to Israel, you've been to New York, you've been to Haiti, and I guess you can go anywhere in the world you want. Why do you want to stay in the Bahamas?
Why do I want to stay in the Bahamas? I
What
get that
attracts you
question.
to the What attracts you to the Bahamas?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. Listen, I love the Bahamas. I love our country.
Why?
I love our
Why?
Bahamians. I'm gonna get there, Uncle David. And I love, I think God just did something very special here in the Bahamas, just through our natural landscape. I mean, just that in itself. I love nature. You know, I love how God just created the nature here. It's just absolutely beautiful. There's no other place on the planet that I've seen that looks like this. You know. And that makes me feel special. You know, that makes me feel special that I come from such a jewel of a country. I also love our Bahamians. You hear all the time, oh, I love the Bahamas. I love the Bahamas. I love our country. I love our nation. But I never really heard people say, I love Bahamians. Bahamians actually saying that. I've heard, foreigners say that. But I do love our Bahamians. I think that we are the most brilliant people. I think we are resilient. I think we're hardworking. When we get the opportunity, we soar. I mean, look at all of the Bahamians that had opportunities to live abroad, work abroad, travel abroad. I mean, their names are just being glorified for their work ethic, for the person that they are, their character, just their personalities. Bahamians are very jovial, kind persons. Funny, man. And Bahamians are so funny. I love it. Obviously, like every nation, we have negative attributes, right? But I try to focus on the positive and enhance the strengths. And those are just some of the reasons as to why I love the Bahamas.
Now, you went to India. What were you doing in India?
India!
Trying to find enlightenment?
Yeah.
Did you have a guru there? What were you doing in India?
Definitely not trying to find enlightenment. But
you wore a sari, right?
I did wear a sari. That's a story. I'm going to try and condense that. So, it's hard to do that, but I'm going to try. So, I went to India, right? It's always been a dream to go to India. I had no idea that I was going to go to India in my 20s. I thought that was going to be something in my 30s or 40s. It was not even in my plan of 2022 to go to India, much less go to India and fulfill my dream as a little girl, my dream to become an international youth speaker.
And you spoke in India?
I did. Much less go to India, fulfill my dream, and speak to 20,000 people.
What did you tell the Indians?
I shared the legacy that I want to leave behind for the young people, the orphanages that I plan to build all around the world, the schools that I plan to establish. I just think things have to happen differently in order for us to progress as human beings. I was put on this earth to lead the youth. That's what God told me when I was 12 years old. So it's been a very adventurous journey of trying to figure out, what does that mean? I'm a young person. What do you mean lead the youth?
When you saw all those people in India, in that big continent, and you had them jumping in their saris, and what were they jumping for?
So I went to India. I went to India with a man named Will Harris and his organization called the Willpower Humanitarian Organization. He is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met. Vivacious, trailblazer, makes things happen. He's set out to change the world. His
sounds
legacy,
like you.
And he does sound like me. That's why we got along so well. And that is also why he took me under his wing and he pointed at me and he said, Beijing, you're going to be my greatest investment. This all happened because he came to the Bahamas. I met him here in the Bahamas, and he's sharing his vision. He's sharing, his legacy, what he wants to leave behind. And that is to build 11 orphanages around the world. And so he said at the end of the retreat of the place where I met him, he said, Beijing, you're going to India. I was like, sorry, what? He goes, yeah. And Beijing, you're speaking to 20,000 people. I was like, sorry, what? What is happening? Lo and behold, I'm on a plane, many hours, 16 hours in India. The moment I get there, in Nagpur, India, because that's where the plane landed before we had to take a 3-hour drive to Amravati, which is in the state of Maharashtra. So we're in the state Maharashtra. So the moment I landed in India, we get our bikes, and there was a father and a son just waiting around for somebody, I guess, to pick up from the airport. I'm walking to the car with my bikes. I get a tap on my shoulder. I look back. It's the same father that I saw in that area. And he goes, ma'am, take a picture with son. Take a picture with my son.
They wanted a picture. Why?
I have no idea. To this day, I have no idea.
They like your spirit.
But maybe. But my thing is I don't even look different. Like I feel like I could pass for an Indian, you know? And so
they seem to love you.
Listen, Uncle David, after that, I finally get into the car. I get inside the car, and then another man a random stranger, but I love strangers. But a random stranger knocks on the car door and he goes, ma'am, selfie. So I come out of the car and take a selfie with this man. I was like, what is going on? And that happened through the entire trip.
What did the Indians see in you?
I have no idea. I mean, no idea.
Well, I know. You're vivacious, you're alive, you're enthusiastic.
But they didn't even meet me. They just saw me walking to the car. But now, throughout the trip, when we had different speaking engagements, when we got to interact with Indians, in the hotels, the maids and the concierge wanted to take pictures with me when we went to get like coffee from the coffee shop. I just thought it was really weird, and I've never, ever, ever, ever had culture shock in my entire life. I've slummed it through mission trips in Haiti, the most impoverished areas in the world, and I've, been able to experience some high standard living. But in all of the countries and adventures and travel opportunities that I've experienced, I've never had culture shock until India, and all these people just wanted selfies. I mean, but the Indians...
When you talk to them, what did you talk about?
So I spoke to them about, the legacy that I would love to leave behind for young people and the work that I'm doing all across the world in the Bahamas, I told them about how there are young people passionate over there that, wants to see other young people win.
And you wore a sari?
And I wore a sari. I got a custom-made sari.
And you jumped in your sari too?
Yes. No. Did I that day? No, I didn't. But I did walk through the streets of this beautiful village before we were waiting to speak. So we had to get up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I mean, I have all of this, documented on my social media platforms. But we had to get up so early. There were like 20,000 people just waiting. There was a huge ceremony because we were celebrating a life of a legendary man, a humanitarian that made this part of Maharashtra, this part of India, flourish by his work of helping the marginalized and the vulnerable young people and adults in that village. And so he's dead now. And so every year they come to celebrate at this event. And this year we were the guest speakers. Me and my team were the guest speakers to share our legacy of how we're trying to change the world. And it was just one of the most incredible opportunities.
What did you say? What did you speak on?
I spoke on how we need to pay attention to the young people, and I truly believe that there's a war on our youth and on our children through lack of education, lack of resources, lack of opportunities, and we need to do something about it. Lack of identity. I mean, we're seeing that so much now. Everyone wants to be some other gender, but that's not how we are created. And we're seeing that, especially here in our Bahamas, just going rampant. And it breaks my heart. And one of my, purposes is to say, like, hey, like, you were created just with the perfect amount of passion, gifts, talents, skin pigment to be who God has created you to be. Like, he made no mistake. But there is a war against that. And, heartbreakingly, they're believing in the lie. They're believing in culture and all the culture, all what culture and society is trying to dictate to them when it's lies. And so I believe that one of my callings is to spread the truth that Jesus is the answer, like what
was it like to see all the people in India?
I've never seen so many people. I've never seen so many people in the same room. I mean, you're like, you keep looking back and there were more people like in the back of the, it was absolutely incredible. And then afterwards, every time we did a speaking engagement, we had security. So we had security of young people who were part of the Willpower humanitarian organization. And these young people gave me hope for young people. I mean, they organized everything for that trip. They organized the speaking engagements. They organized the conferences. They at the universities. They organized the laying of bricks ceremony that we had for the orphanage that was going to be built there. So I even got to experience that. I've never met anyone that wanted to build an orphanage, but I had to go many thousand miles across the world to witness that, and then to see all these other young people who were passionate about the same thing. My heart blew up. That entire trip blew up my heart, and I can cry right now, and I feel like I'm shouting. Sorry, there's my passion.
Wonderful.
But yeah, so there was security, and there are security, these young people, these 20-something-year-olds, and all of us, the speakers, the guest speakers, were in the middle of it.
So it gave you hope then?
It gave me hope. It gave me hope. The moment that happened, I said, now I believe young people could change the world. We could do it.
Wow.
We could do it. It's because of those, I mean, how diligent and how dedicated
they're
they were with their
people.
work. Yes.
They're very,
and they are the most
very bright.
kindest.
Very bright.
The kindest persons.
We're going to take a break and be right back. Beijing, I was very excited by what you shared in India, and I know you've been to New York, you've been to Haiti, you've been to Chile, South America recently, and around the world. But the fact is that many young people are choosing to die, suicide. What's that all about?
Yep, it's a sad reality. Life is hard. Life
is what?
Hard.
Is it harder than it used to be?
Yeah.
Why is it harder for young people
I'm
now?
going to have to say, back to what I said prior, is we have 24/7, people have 24/7 access to you on the digital space, and you have 24/7, you have the access to anything you want. So what does that mean? That means you are searching anything, that is anything, you have access to searching that. There are young people that should not have access to that. I mean, you guys didn't, growing up. I didn't to an extent, right? And then I
had to work at Mr. Allen's shop every Saturday and sometime after school.
Yeah.
They used to call me Mr. Allen's slave. And the pretty girls would go to the Capitol Theater and pass my father's shop. And I tried to hide, and I put on a big, long white apron. He said, David! And I had to go and serve them. So I gave them extra candy. He said, here's when things get better for me. But I feel sad sometimes. I had to work so hard, man.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a mistake, though. It was too hard for me.
You think?
But I'm still working hard now.
Is that by choice or necessity?
No, choice, but I'm saying that's where I learned to work at my father's shop.
Exactly. So with our young people today, or I just speak in the context of the Bahamas, is the homes are not a safe place. In terms
the home
of
is what?
The homes. Some of the homes are not a safe place.
Why?
In regards to the lack of love and attention that children and adolescents need in their period of growing up. It's not present. Whether it's because a father is not.
What happened to the love?
It's a cycle. So it's a cycle. So if they were brought into this world without a father, then the mother is then dealing with certain traumas that she hasn't been able to, solve or heal from. And so then all of that is then put into the child. And then the child grows up with all of that in the only best way that the mother can provide for the child. And then that's not healed. So then we have another cycle of not healed. So it's a cycle, but it's also social problems, as well as in terms of friends and bullying and peer pressure, is also part of the reason why. And then after acting in such negative deeds, they then feel ashamed. They then feel bad. And then it's one deed right after the other, and it's like, whoa, there's no coming back from this. Like, this is who I am. I don't think healing is possible, nor do I know how to reach out for healing. Who do I ask? My school teacher, my counselor, my church leader, if I go to church? Do I feel safe with any of these people knowing what I'm actually going through? So it's just a web of just so much, and then probably they think the best solution is just get out of this thing called life. Just end it all. And it breaks my heart. And I want to be able to reach them and say, you are so worth it. You are so worth it. You have no idea. You're not just here to fill up space. Like, you are here for a reason.
Beijing, do you ever feel sad?
Yes, I do.
What's it like when you feel sad?
What's it like when I feel sad? My heart feels heavy. Physically, my heart feels heavy. And I usually, just because I've been this way since 15, where I would just journal it. I would journal why do I feel this way? And what may have triggered me to feel this way. But I used to suffer from anxiety and depression. So I'm, an advocate for, good, healthy mental health, which is another huge problem happening within the young people of the entire world. Is just too many stresses, like, school. It doesn't matter which economic class you come from. There's stresses in every economic class of child is suffering mentally. Like I did some speaking engagements in some private high schools here in the Bahamas, and they felt that they can open up to me, and they shared that they're suffering from their mental health, and sometimes home environments as well, because parents are too busy to play with the child, or be
parents
with
are too busy to play with the child.
To play
so
or
children
be
want
with
to
the
be
child.
played with still?
I just think they want love and attention from their family members.
But I thought if they had their games, they don't want to play with the parents.
No, that's just a distraction. That's a distraction. We were created to interact. We were created for community. We were created to touch, feel, talk, love, hug with each other, not from a screen. No. Yes, that has done good, has done some great things in the world. But what is needed today, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic? I mean, isolation is off the charts. And our young people feel isolated, they feel lonely, they feel that no one cares for them, and they fear for the future. What does tomorrow look like? I can tell you a story. Yesterday, I went to Harbor Bay. I went to go get a smoothie, and I was stopped twice by two persons, randomly, as I was going to my car at the parking lot. And then a third time, and this time it was a young male, security officer, young male. He comes to my car window and he goes, "I saw these two people stopping you." And he goes, "What do you do? Do you do, something in wellness, like coaching?" I was like, "Yes, I'm a life coach for kids, teens, and young adults to help them get from point A to point B in their lives, teaching, character and confidence and communication skills." And he was like, "Oh, wow. Well, do you work with those who suffer from anxiety?" I was like, "No, I do not, because you need to have a certain licensing for that. So you would have to look up a therapist to help you, unpack that." And I go, "How old are you?" And he goes, 24. I was like, "Oh, you're young." And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, I have this community that you can," because he said, first I asked, I said, "Do you have community? Like, do you do life with certain people?" He goes, "No, I'm alone." And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, well, I have this community for you. It's my nonprofit called IoT, It's Our Turn.
What's it called?
It's called IoT, It's Our Turn.
What's IoT?
IoT, It's Our Turn is my youth-led nonprofit where we develop youth as leaders.
It's our turn.
It's our turn as young people to stop the cycle and start the spiral.
So you told him you have
I said that, and I said, would you like to become a volunteer? Join our community. You will have a community of other young people. Wow. Join our community. And then he said, wow, exchange numbers, all that stuff.
Oh,
and
that's
then
when you have these young people marching. I saw a group of,
yes,
you're leading a group of young people marching the other day.
Yes, but before I say that, I just want to say, and I left off, and it brings tears to my eyes, and I said, you are no longer alone. You are no longer alone. You have a community now. Join us. Wow. Do not forget to message. And his eyes lit. I was like, are you excited? You're going to be joining a whole new community of young people now. You're no longer alone. Wow. You don't have to do this thing called life anymore alone. So that just...
You don't have to do this thing called life anymore alone.
Wow. So yeah, but yeah.
Beijing, that's great.
I just wanted to...
Just yesterday, going to get a smoothie.
Yeah.
Knocked on your car door.
I'm just grateful to be able to have certain communities to be like, come, be with us. We want you.
You're infectious. You just grab people. And I think the summer I saw a bunch of young people marching with you. What were you guys marching for? What were you marching to?
Even your grandson.
I wonder, you had Luke there. Luke was leading the sign. Where was Luke? We were marching them to.
So honestly, we were just bringing awareness to share with the Bahamas and
to who?
whoever
to
would
who?
like
Where?
to. The
Bahamas?
Yeah, to the Bahamas and anyone who would like to listen to us. We were just trying to bring awareness, say, hey, we exist. We want to stop the cycle and start the spiral in marginalized youth communities because we care enough to do that through education, quality education opportunities, mental health resources, and youth leadership and empowerment. And so, and we do that through our adopted youth community in Woods Alley once a month. And it's just us young people who are just want to make a difference, that don't believe that we have to wait to do so. And so, and with, Jesus as our leader, and yeah, that's what we were just bringing awareness for the persons in the car driving by to be like, whoa, these are all like youth. Why are they taking out their Saturday on a hot summer day, right? On a hot summer day that cares enough to create poster cards. Like actually do poster cards, mobilize a bunch of young people, go on the hot streets of Nassau and walk.
Wow.
And I cried on that march because afterwards we all came into a circle and everyone got to share their experience.
What did they say?
And,
what did they say?
There's one lady, she said she walked past a young lady on the street, and the lady was saying, because it was a silent march, there was no speaking involved. That's why the poster placards were so important. And the young lady was speaking to her, and I witnessed it. But I couldn't really hear, so when she was sharing in the circle is when she shared the story. And the young lady saw it, and she said, I can't read. What does this say? And that blew us all the way. On the side. She's just one of the persons on the side on Bay Street. And she goes, I can't read.
What does it say?
What does this say? Oh. And this was there was a young lady in her 30s, and that broke our hearts. And this is why IOTA exists. This is why we have to do what we have to do, and I'm gonna die trying doing it. And my whole thing is die empty with all the gifts and talents and everything that God has given me. Because it's not about me, it's not about us. Personally for me, I believe it's about Christ and the work that Christ is trying to do through you to change the world for him. So.
Beijing, do you ever get discouraged?
Yes, yeah.
I know you do a lot, and I guess I've done that too in my days as well. But what do you do when you get discouraged, man?
So I have learned to not keep it to myself, and I have developed a habit to talk about it. So I would share it with a confidant, whether that's a best friend or a family member, but for me, it's the power of releasing it and not keeping it within, but releasing it and say like, this is how I feel. And so, and everyone's different. I don't like somebody to just listen. I always love advice or, their opinion, right? Because in Proverbs it says, get advice, but, and so I would wait to hear, their opinions, their thoughts, and then I'd always ask, and then I love prayer, too, and that whole
But do you ever feel
just
so discouraged
relationship.
you want to just give up?
Oh yeah, I wanted to give
So I
up
know
in
you-
January
you've
so
been-
many
you've
times.
You've been trying
So many
hard.
times I wanted to give up. During that whole 12-year waiting season, I wanted to give up. And then my last time of wanting to give up was in January of this year. January 2022, I was doing a 5-day spiritual fast. And I was like, Lord, what's happening? Like, you say in Philippians 1:6, that like, hey, you'll finish the work until you come. But I don't see anything happening. I'm a diehard soldier, but like, what are we, And then that's when I met Will Harris.
Wow.
And he took me to India and he changed my life.
We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen, and I'm talking with my niece, Beijing Rogers, and she is quite a live wire. That's what I call her. And she had a wonderful trip to India. It inspired her about the world, and she saw so much hope, and the Indians loved her, and she loved the Indians. And Beijing, but you went to Haiti on some mission trips. What was that like?
I did go to Haiti on some mission trips. So I went on my first mission trip when I was 4 years old, due to my aunt Jewel, who is also very passionate about sharing the gospel to unreached people groups. And she's in charge of and started the missions group at our church. So obviously she has some nieces. Let's take her nieces. They're 4 and 6 years old. We went. And I did that for 2 decades, going on mission trips to some of the most impoverished areas in Haiti, Mexico, and Grenada, and some other places around the Caribbean. But growing up like that, but living amongst those who live under $1 a day for like 2 weeks of your life every year for 2 decades, and then you come back to your normal life, and you have all this stuff. You have education, you have a roof over your head, you have food every day, you have a good health, and it just disturbed me. And I was just trying to figure out how is that possible? It doesn't make sense, right? I'm 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, 13, 14, 15 years old, and that disturbed me. How is it possible that there are some young people or children that live so poorly, and then here I am, and then everybody around me living so well, right? And so obviously one would question that. And it all led up to, God's calling for my life. But, all the revelations about what it was like back then as such a young person, I received, a few years back. And, in the contemplation and the reflection, this is what I came up with, that I need to do something about this situation. These children should have food on their table every day, more than one time a day. They should have access to education.
It really moved you.
It is why I am so passionate as to what I am doing today. It's start at 4, and some 20-something now, and throughout my entire life, God has just paved the way, brought in certain, opportunities and people that I've met on my path of life to get me to where I am here. But it all started back there in my mission trip work. And I'm so grateful that I am chosen for this task and assignment.
Beijing,
die.
Beijing, ever since a little girl, you've been so talented.
Oh, really?
You could have gone to Hollywood, you could have gone to Bollywood. I mean, you could have done what you wanted to do, and everybody tried to put you in different spaces, hotels and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you seem to want to just hang with the people. What's that? What does that mean?
I love it.
Everybody tries to fix you and put you somewhere, but then you would jump out of that, even though you're very successful, and want to hang with the people and poor people and hard people. What is it you want?
That is, Very
What does
interesting.
Beijing want?
Why does it seem like I want to cry right now? Can we cut? No, I'm just kidding. Emotions are beautiful. We must feel them. But I truly do. I'm very emotional right now. There's just so much hurt, you know? There's so much hurt.
Oh, you see the pain of the world.
Yeah. There's so
and,
much
and
hurt.
the pain of the world hurts you.
It moves me to want to do something about it. What do I want? I want to do something about the living conditions of our marginalized, orphaned, and abandoned youth around the entire world. It moves me to do something about it, not talk about it, but do something. That's why I have a nonprofit that exists. So we're in the process of trying to do something about it. But I'm trained, because my team, we're all young people, or youth-led, right? Because we don't believe that we have to wait until we become adults to start something. Why wait when we need so much help right now? And there's no age limit to that. That's ageism, right? There's no age limit to how you can help or when you can help. You can start now. And so that's what I want. And
But it's not easy because you have camps at Rose Island, you have marches for young people.
I still got to live and eat and
Do you
survive.
are you encouraged, or sometimes does it get discouraging?
So within my 12-year waiting season, is what I like to call it, is when it was very discouraging, because I just did not see fruit, or consistent fruit. I saw fruit here and there, but I didn't see like consistent fruit of like the work that I was trying to do to be like, okay, opportunities, funding, people, team, like, you know, the resources that were needed in order for us to get to the next level. I finally am in the space of, we're past, you know, that waiting season. I believe life is valleys and mountaintops, valleys and mountaintops. In the valleys and the waiting seasons, you learn character building. Character building. Character is extremely important, because you do not want success unless you've built character, because then you can't maintain that. Because then that's where we see all these successful people not happy and then killing themselves because they didn't build the character traits. They didn't build themselves to withstand success like that, right?
How does one build character?
You have to training, right? You build character through first, you know, accepting like, whoa, like I need help in this area. And then what that can look like, help can look like a life coach, right? If you want to pay somebody, you can be like a life coach, a mentor, you know, in the area of character that you're trying to build. If you're a young person, you go to certain camps, you go to certain programs that train and teach and help you implement character. I also have a camp. It's called the Kids Adventure Club, and what we do is we build character through outdoor adventures, through summer camps, my life coaching that I do of children, teens, and young adults, young professionals, but I just feel like society, like we forget about character and the importance of how, like, character is who you are. Character is more so than goals that you want in life. Character is what type of sister are you? What type of mother are you? What type of wife are you? You know, it's bringing it back to the foundation and things that matter, you know? And so if we can instill that in our children and our young people earlier, right? The Bible says, train a child in the way they should go, right? So if we can instill that earlier, then I honestly feel like we would have better citizens walking around here, you know? We'd have less crime. We would have just less crime in all the little facets of crime, right? We'll have less unhappiness, you know. But it's character through, you know, biblical teaching, of course, personally for me, because I believe that change happens through Christ, a relationship with Christ, not religion, relationship.
Now, one thing different now than when I was growing up is this whole social media. How do young people cope with this? I mean, they take selfies and photos of every single thing. Car accidents, people getting killed, stabbed. You have to take a picture, and if you say something, it goes around the world. And how do young people cope with that?
Yeah, social media. Oh, how I've had my trials with social media as well. You know, no one is built to have 24 access to someone. We're not built like that, to have 24/7 access to someone. You guys didn't have it. So now, here we are, 21st century, I got it in my teens. Social media started to become a big thing in my teens. So just imagine everybody from 2000 and upward now, who the moment you like open your eyes, like you're trained into this is life. Have a social media account, be on it. This is how you get ahead in life, you know, depending on how many followers you have or how many likes that you get. So with that, it's too much. It's too much, especially for an adolescent.
The pressure.
And then also, and then also the 24/7 access, right? Having that, like, answer me now, right? One, that. Two, the comparisons, right? Look at her. She's living her best life. Is she, though? She's not. She's probably crying in her room, right? So we put these false projections of ourselves on this thing to make us feel better. Sometimes, you know, people find community through social media if it's done correctly. I believe in everything, there's good and evil. It's just the way that your relationship with it. But that's with you. That relationship starts with you. How are you going to use it? But there isn't much positive reinforcement in that type of thinking. And so what we're seeing now is a result of it being used for evil, you know, which then, you know, hurts the young person in return. It's sad.
Yeah, it's very powerful because you have the TikTok, you have the Instagram, you got the WhatsApp. Everything is clicking.
24/7 access.
I just can't keep up with it.
Me neither. And so what did I do? I have boundaries. That's what you have to have boundaries.
Wait, how does one have boundaries in social media?
So, and that also comes from self-discipline, right? So on a smartphone, you have options, on iPhones, I don't know about Androids, but on iPhones, there are options for how much screen time that you have on your phone. So you can limit that to, okay, I only want 3 hours a day. And if you go past that, then it'll like shut you off of the apps. And so that's one way of doing it. There's also cutting off notifications, and then also my favorite, it's just taking social media fasts, right? So just how you take a spiritual fast, you take a social media fast.
Take a social media fast?
Fast.
What's a social media fast?
A social media fast is when you just stop using social media for a certain...
And do you pray during the time you stop using it?
Well, it's just social media, but it's just stop
but
using
if you stop
social media.
You may go to gossip.
Pardon?
You have a social media fast, and then you go to gossip. Is that still fasting?
Well, if we're just dealing with social media, yeah, now you're just going to another vice. But no, so a social media fast is just not using social media for a certain period of time. And so for me...
But fast implies the spiritual. You stop something to open yourself to
yeah.
God.
So personally for me, because I am a Christian, child of God, I do it that way, spiritually. I do it that way. I stop social media and then I pray and spend more time with the Lord and whatnot. Okay. But then there are other people that just stop using social media for a certain amount of time. So maybe I shouldn't use the word fast, but they just stop using social media for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And personally, when I do that, I just feel so refreshed. And I'm ready to go back on social media and go inspire a generation. You know, but we all need breaks.
We can't turn that movement back, right?
Which movement?
So the social media movement. That's gone too far. It's impossible to turn it back now.
I think anything can stop. If we just click the switch, it can stop. Okay. I would not have a problem with it. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to good and evil, right? You know, what are you using it for? How are you using it? Is it detrimental to you? Is it detrimental to the people around you? What is your message? Why are you on this thing? Is it so you can look pretty all the time and get, affirmation from everybody? Or do you have a message that can change lives, right? Why are you using it? So for me, my message on social media is for people to view my life in the good and the bad, because I don't just post the good. I post the bad. I post when I struggle. I post when I'm discouraged, because everyone needs to see, if they're following someone, that they are human too. They are human too. They go through the same emotions as you do. But in my case, I always like to share, but this is how I am, this is how I'm bettering myself in this area, so I hope this helps you too. So I don't stop at, the negative. I give a positive reinforcement,
Beijing, in America, and even now in our country, some people are opting to kill themselves. Why are young people opting to kill themselves? What's that about?
Life is hard.
We're going to take a break and be right back.